Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Brett McCullum, and I'm here today with Laura Sides. And today we're going to be talking about how Laura went from being a teacher to now as a full-time real estate investor. Without further ado, Laura, how are you?
Hey, Brett. Good. Thanks. Thanks for having me on.
Man, I'm so excited. We talked quite a bit pre-show, getting to know each other a little bit. Definitely excited to do this. I think we have a lot of value that we're going to be able to unpack and bring to our audience. So, typical everyday question you always hear on these shows. Give us some background, Laura. Who's Laura Sides? How did you get into real estate? That sort of thing.
Yeah. So I didn't see real estate coming at all. I had no experience. My parents were not investors. They were kind of the poor dad model. So I went to college. I had my degree in biology. I started teaching middle school science. And then I ended up staying home once our daughter was born. And that was 10 years ago.
Wow.
And 2 kids later, so we have 3 kids at home, the pandemic hit, and we went down to Florida for a week. I brought Rich Dad, Poor Dad with me, and I was reading it out to my husband, and I was like, babe, there is a whole nother world out here.
Mm-hmm.
And let's explore what that can look like for us. So as soon as we came back, we pulled a HELOC on our primary house. We had $100,000 there, and we used that to buy our first flip.
Wow.
And yeah, so it's been crazy. Never saw it coming and just jumped right in, and it's been life-changing.
Isn't that funny though? Like, let me ask you this. I never even asked you this question. So almost like a classic story for a lot of us real estate investors. You get the purple Bible as you will, right? And like, what? Oh my gosh, this is real, kind of thing. How long, and I didn't ask this before, how long had you had Rich Dad, Poor Dad in your possession before you actually read it?
Oh, that's a great question. And kind of crazy. I have no idea what inspired me to pull it off my shelf, but I got down to Florida, opened the book up, and a hall pass from when I used to teach in middle school fell out.
Wow.
I kind of vaguely remembered, I don't know what led me to the book, and I had only been like a chapter and a half in, but I think at that time when I was early 20s teaching in middle school, it just didn't resonate with me. I didn't understand what he was saying. Like the words didn't stick. And then fast forward, I don't even know, it must have been like 5 years, and I pulled it out again, took it on vacation with us, and it changed my life.
Isn't that funny how that is? Like, I know so many people, like even us. I was telling you, when I was in the business already, and then my wife finally reads Rich Dad, and then she's like, "Oh my gosh, me too," kind of thing. We had it for years. I mean, I think my wife got it as a high school graduation gift.
Wow.
I mean, and she was maybe 30, 32, something like that years old when she finally picked it up. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like, it's just interesting. And if you let yourself look in that rearview mirror, like I could have been doing this for how long, kind of thing.
I think that's my biggest regret, is not getting into real estate sooner,
I think that's everybody, that everybody that understands it. Let's say it that way, right?
Yeah.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Because yeah, it was just one of those moments where for her where she was like, I can't believe I didn't read this sooner, and but you can't live with that. I think the time is you're ready when you're ready, because you may not have been ready in your 20s, and maybe you would have started and you would have ran into the ground and messed everything up. Who knows?
Right. Not adequate background knowledge, maybe, or life experiences. But I think what's important is, so what's funny is I still haven't finished Rich Dad Poor Dad. I got like 4 chapters in. I was like, we gotta act on this. So once I did realize that, and this has carried through the rest of my real estate and other investing, is like, once I realized how good it could be, I was like, all right, next step, next step, next step. So it's like taking that information in these bite-sized pieces and applying it. And I think that's what keeps you from this like analysis paralysis, right? I could
Yeah,
have read to the end of the book, but I didn't need to, because on my first flip, I made $100,000 in 6 weeks.
right.
And then it just, the ball kept rolling.
That's incredible. So that's okay. Every successful, not every, a lot of real estate investors I talk to, the common theme though it is for all of them is action, right? And that's almost cliche in our industry now. You listen to these podcasts, you get like, and you're like, action, take action, take action. But like, I read 4 chapters of a book and then I did my first deal and made like that is action, right? And I think that in real estate, we're rewarded for the level of action that we take, and then I think our businesses are then rewarded for that. You know,
Totally. You have to be comfortable with that risk, right? Like,
yeah,
and then opportunities are going to present themselves to you. And anybody listening, listen, like, you're never going to feel 100% ready. If you wait, you're just going to keep waiting.
yeah,
Part of being ready is just deciding, I'm going to go for this, and I'm going to surround myself by the people that are going to help me figure it out as I go.
yeah. I mean, that's kind of great. Like, so let me ask you this question. You said you made the comment you have to be comfortable with the risk. Do you think, and I think a lot of us, and I'm guilty of this, naivety is sometimes good in the beginning. Like you don't
Oh, yeah.
know what risk really means when you first start.
I
Um,
think you have to know you don't want to sink your ship. Like, you
yeah,
can't be so risk adverse, but you have to be able to take enough risk. No, like, I'm not going to tank our house, right? I'm not going to,
right.
but this isn't the safest route either.
It almost sounds to me like, and I hope I'm not putting words in your mouth when I say this. Um, you were at that, your family, you guys were at that something needed to change moment. Like you were looking for, was there anything back, like kind of in the back of your head, like, I don't want to keep doing it the way we're doing it? Or what kind of led to like because I mean, that was a Reddit and I'm going, you know, was there anything going on around then?
I think it's the perfect mix of, so my husband's very successful in his career, and
Hmm.
I got to stay home with our kids. And we're kind of sitting there on the couch. Actually, it was a month. We had taken a month off to go to Florida, and we're sitting on the couch going like, is this it? Right?
Mm,
By all definitions, we have a really great life. We are not in any type of debt. We go on whatever vacations we want to go on, out to dinner. Like, we don't operate on a budget. And we have 3 beautiful, healthy children. Is this it? Like, this is it. This is it for us. We've hit by all definitions, we were considered successful. And we kind of felt like, man, we're in our early 30s. What else can we do here?
right.
I'm also a huge extrovert. So as much as I absolutely love staying home with our kids, I needed more. There was no amount of like going to the gym or going to mom's club events and talking about what was on sale at Target just wasn't doing it, and I needed.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
More, and I loved the ability to like now have this purpose and be able to talk to other investors and talk to bankers or whatever, contractors, just get out and see something to completion. So there wasn't anything wrong. It was just like, I think there's something more.
And that's purpose. Like that was the word you used. And I think that's incredible because when you grabbed that first day out of the gate, you did very well on it. Are you guys, what is the bit? So that was, I mean, we're closing in on 5 years ago now, right? Ish.
Or I think it was 2021 that we did, May of 2021 that we did that one.
Okay. And are you guys still flipping houses? You're still like, what's the business look like today? What are you guys working on?
Yep. So I'm still home with the kids. That's definitely job number one, right? I still have 2 kids at home and we're homeschooling those 2. And I flip houses, yeah, casually. Like we pick up jobs as we can. And one of my biggest things right now is easier flips so that we have built this team out and we can kind of set the team in place. This past one, the one we did just recently, we flipped in 3 weeks. It was on market. We paid what they were asking, put our team in place, flipped the whole thing in 3 weeks and made $70,000.
Wow.
And it's mostly cosmetic. Like here, we're in the suburbs of Philadelphia, so there's a lot of demand for housing, but most of our housing here is 550 or above.
Okay.
So what we like to do is get a 2 to 3 bedroom, what would be considered like a starter home for someone, because you just don't see them excessively anymore. Oftentimes it's a townhouse or a condo. We'll put our team in and they just basically take out what's there cosmetically, right? It's gross and ugly and dirty, and then they put it all back, but nothing is really structural. There's no wet basements, there's no roofing issue. It's just purely cosmetic. And so we've just learned to identify what works for us and what works for me as basically a project manager now. But on the last flip, I was only there 2 or 3 times. Our team took care of all of it.
Yeah. That's incredible. Yeah. So, I think that's brilliant, by the way, especially I don't know your market as obviously as well as you do. But locally the speed to market is really, really important. With hold times and things for us, we've been sitting on projects longer. So, your holding costs, are much more increased. So if you can, get your team in there and get that thing turned around, the faster you do it, the better, right? That's incredible. So you're doing that. What would you like volume wise? What are you anticipating for 2025 to look like ideally if I can do 2 houses, 3 houses, what are you guys hoping to do this year?
That's such a good question. I don't ever like to forecast because I don't ever want to put myself in a situation because I feel forced or the goal suggested, like I need this many. Because right now we only buy properties that we know we're not going to lose on, right? And we know that the day that we buy them, we could sweep it out and make money that day.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally, I think doing 5 flips this year would be fine. We also like to buy and hold though. So a big part of the investing was like, oh, how can I offset my husband's W-2 tax liability? So that was a big one originally. And what happened was we bought our first Airbnb. And once I realized all of the tax implications and benefits to owning short-term rentals, that was another game changer, like next level unlocked, right?
Yeah.
And now because of these Airbnb purchases, not only have we offset my husband's W-2 tax liability, but a lot of our flipping tax liability too. Absolutely. So there's an intricate balance of like how many flips and then what you do with the money in the same year.
Yeah. That I'd almost forgotten we talked pre-show about the STR side. in that, so are they all local for you, your short terms, or are they scattered around?
Both of them are about 3 hours away.
Okay.
So beach towns, in one's in Delaware, one's in Maryland.
Very cool. Okay. That's really cool.
What's cool about that too is our kids are super involved. We involve our family heavily in the flips. That was a big reason with my first one. I was homeschooling and I'm like, I feel like I could teach them more, right? Finances, renovations, getting their hands dirty and let them knock down a wall. How cool is it for a 5-year-old to be able to knock a
Yeah.
wall down, right? So
Yeah.
like have
Core
at it.
memory unlocked right there. Yeah.
So we taught them a lot through that. And then what was really, really cool is that $100,000 we made on the first one, we showed them like, this is how you take this money and put it to work because flipping is active income. You have to work for that money. That's not the goal here. We can take this money and instead of upgrading our own lifestyle, and we talked about this, right? We could get you all new toys. We could get a pool in the backyard. We could get new cars, a new primary. Instead of doing that right now, we're going to take this money and we're going to put it into assets that are going to pay us. So we taught them we're going to take this $100,000, we're going to buy a house. It's going to be a beach house for our family that was never on our radar that we thought we could own. So now we own a beach house. We can use it. We can, use it with family and friends, put it in auctions for donation type stuff, and then use it as an Airbnb and have it more than offset the cost to own it and
Right.
not have to pay taxes
And the tax liability. That's amazing. Yeah. So,
and
I,
appreciation. There's so many benefits.
yeah. Are you guys looking to do more short-term rentals ideally, or like, nah, two's enough, because there's two different
No,
sides of it, right? Like some people are just like, it's a lot to manage, it's got its, what are you guys?
that first one, I had no idea about short-term rental anything. It kind of came to us, and we're just like, yes, we'll take it.
Hmm.
And we put a property manager in place, but it was like a big box property manager, and they did make us money, but they didn't take great care of the guests.
Okay.
Experience wise, and they just little oversight on the quality of the experience. So I was like, I think I can do this better than they can.
Of
But
course.
my husband reminded me, like, you don't want a job. What are you doing? So I do manage both short-term rentals now, but we're we're looking to probably get more of a local boutique management company on those so they can be like have some vested interest in how well the property does as opposed to a large company. The second short-term rental, and this is a weird feeling for me, but we're looking at the possibility of selling it. We bought it for 600,000. We probably put about $30,000 into it between furnishings and just light renovations. And I had an agent tell me the other day that she thinks it's worth 900, like if we took it to market. And we bought it 2 years ago. But you're basically selling like a turnkey business.
Right.
And then we would 1031 that into another short-term rental.
I figure, yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. And then for the audience, if they don't know why, for whatever reason, why 1031 that, Laura?
So we don't have to pay the capital gains taxes
Oh,
on
you
it,
don't
right?
have to pay capital gains. Yeah, that's exactly right. We teach our kids the same things, like, so you mentioned Rich Dad Poor Dad earlier in our
Mhm.
conversation, and he has his game, the cash flow game, right?
Mhm.
So we play that a lot with our kids, teaching them like, what's a liability, what's an asset, and the whole idea on the 1031 exchange is so that when you sell this and you're going to get these, hey, instead of paying 35% or whatever it is on, well, it's long-term capital gains, so it won't be short. It might be less than that. But you still have capital gains, right? And you can legally, responsibly roll that into something with no tax liability and continue to increase your, your wealth at the same. It's almost like it feels almost like a cheat code, right? It's like, wait, we're allowed to do this, you know?
And it's really cool that, I mean, if she's right, if there's $300,000 of equity gain there that we
Yeah,
could take and buy one or two other proproperties with, that would be pretty cool.
yeah, it's
So
incredible.
I think the answer to what your original question was like is, would adding more short-term rentals be adding more work? And I think it's a who, not how. So we definitely are looking to put those property managers in place because you don't want a job. You can, right? You absolutely can run your own Airbnb. It's not difficult, but it can be time consuming.
Sure. Yeah, but I mean, I can tell like from talking, it's time consuming, but it's like in some days maybe better than others. But I mean, we tend to enjoy that side of it sometimes, and I'm sure there's some days where it's like I don't like this so much. But um,
You want to
having
make
the
sure they're getting a good experience. So between the cleaning team, the handyman, and myself, I can guarantee that. So if I
right.
could just replace myself.
Have you guys been able to use the property for the family? I know you mentioned that. Is how cool is that?
Oh, it's super cool. Our parents, we're the first generation to really get creative with money like this. So from a line of blue collar,
Yeah.
essentially workers, um, it's really awesome. It's a
Yeah.
really cool feeling. So the first property we bought didn't really have enough bedrooms for our extended family to come down. So I made sure that our second property had all the bedrooms. It has two master suites and then two other bedrooms, right? So like this Easter, his parents, my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, and their families will all be there for Easter.
That's that. I mean, and what a great like. I don't know if I'll use the word anyway, but like it almost the selfish feeling of like I get to. It's not selfish because it's pure. Like do this for my family is like
Oh,
the coolest thing in the world.
oh, I love it. It's
Yeah.
everything. My next thing is like I want to have enough cash flow that I can be like, hey guys, I booked us this trip in Jamaica. Like
That
we're all
part.
going. That's what I want. I'm the whole Easter is going to be catered. The chef is going to be there, whatever. That's my goal. I just want to be able to enjoy life with family
Yeah.
and share, what we're creating. And they're huge cheerleaders and I appreciate it and I love them. They don't understand not a lot of times they don't understand what we're doing,
No, they don't.
but they're super supportive and I appreciate that.
That's and that's the best, is being able to share with our families and like what a great, and then at the same time like what you're able to pass down to your children and then your, someday grandchildren and then, it's like knowing that the work I'm doing today is going to have impact for and legacy later. And thank God you finally read, even if like maybe you would have gotten to it at some point, but like thank God you read, you know, Rich Dad Poor Dad when you did, or whatever for whoever's listening. Thank God you whatever got you into it, you did, because it leaves impact forever as long as you don't quit, right? Um,
There's definitely nights where you think about it. I'm like, I should cancel the Instagram.
I'm sure too. Like it's not always since you've started. It's not always been perfect. I'm sure there's its challenge. I mean, we talk about the victories and we talk a lot about like the wins and stuff like that. But I'm sure there's been some challenges you guys have walked through too.
Yeah, I think we're almost playing it too safe in that there hasn't been anything major. So, right, if I'm not combating big challenges, I'm probably not going big enough. But it's been this like really slow ease, very careful entry into real estate investing. But like one of the challenges I remember, it was my birthday's New Year's Eve, and we had a flip going. And I
Mhm.
remember I had to like carry materials in for the guys so they were ready or whatever. And I'm carrying those materials and I'm like, this is 100% not how I want to be spending my birthday. Like
Yeah.
setting these guys up. And I'm like, I need to put the people in place so that I never have to do this again. So those challenges, whether it be a bad guest experience at the Airbnb or me carrying materials in, have caused us to level up in ways that I wouldn't have had I not had those
Yeah.
challenges. So like
Yeah.
now at the last flip, I'm, going 3 times. I'm better at communicating like, this is your job. This is what you're doing. I'm not going to be there.
Yeah. That's incredible. I don't think there's anything, by the way, like I'm a little biased when I say this, but especially with where the market's turned in the last couple of years with a lot of the uncertainty with all that, having a careful approach isn't wrong, because I would rather be careful and have gain than you know what? I'm going to keep pressing challenges or keep pressing things and then lose everything I just worked for. There's a balance. I'm sure, there's definitely a balance. But like right now, when it's with the uncertainty, I think and I'm biased again, but I think that's really wise,
Thank you.
in today's world. Um, and take it one step at a time. And you don't have, there's not like you said, we talked like I was asking like what's the future looking like? How many like like I don't like to forecast that because I having there's no it's you against you, right? There's no like measurement, like I have to do as many deals as this person, I have to, that's what gets people, taken to the cleaners is when they're trying to be like somebody else or like it's you against you at the end of the day and your family goals,
Yeah, thank you
that's
for
it.
saying that. And I think one thing that we're really, really mindful of, and my husband's good at this, is we're watching for lifestyle creep, right? So right now, everything that I'm doing in flipping or the money we're making from our short-term rentals feels like bonus income. It's
Yeah.
not something that we need to live. And my husband did an incredible job before I even had any clue about finances, setting us up. So we lived in no debt. We live in no debt. We have no credit card debt, no besides our primary mortgage and now the two Airbnbs, but they pay for them. There's no
Right,
real
right.
debt there. But living in no debt allows you to operate in a little bit more of a risk situation because like we could weather this if it didn't go well,
Right.
but we don't really want it to not go well. So I think part of being able to be where we're at is because we don't have this debt. And, when we started doing all these flips and having this extra income, we didn't upgrade our house to a 10,000 square foot house or
Hmm.
our cars to Escalades. Like we still can make pretty calculated decisions in
Yeah.
life and in business.
And that's wise. I mean, I think if you look at the most successful people I know in here, like use it, let's classic one is, Warren Buffett. He was he like in his 50s before he had his first billion?
Mm.
But it wasn't that he wasn't playing the game. It just was taking his time and letting it do its and just slowly but surely adding. And then one day it's like, oh my gosh, couple hundred billion,
Good. We're here. Destination reached.
Yeah, and I think that there's wisdom in that though, that you don't have to do it all today. But a lot of entrepreneurs are guilty. I'm pointing fingers here if like, yeah, but I know I did one and I made 100 on it. If I did 10, I could make 1 million. Unfortunately, that just doesn't work that way. But that's what we convince ourselves sometimes of like, well, I already know how to do it. I've done it a few times. I'm just going to scale.
Yeah.
And if you're not watching, I'm, quote unquote scale, that's the buzz in a lot of our industry right now is scale, scale, scale. And I think there's an appropriate balance to scale.
I'm going to say my CPA early on, and it stuck with me. So if he's listening, he's probably not. But I was sitting at his desk. We did the first flip. He saw that 100, right? And he goes, Lar, when I was young, I forget what business it was, but he's like, I started a business and we grew too fast and it got out of control and then it didn't do well. He's like, I caution you, don't let that happen to you. He's like,
Mhm.
because this is good. But you know what, in the beginning, and I haven't heard this much anymore, and like how people feedback can kind of like roll, stick to some people. And then like it would roll. People are like, the shoe's going to drop. It's not always this easy. You're not going to, we've never, and knock on wood, I guess, or whatever, we've never lost money. We've
Mhm.
made as little as like 20,000, but that was in a 2-week flip. So like, still not really a loss. We're just kind of moving the needle forward. Yeah.
Well, it's perspective, right? Like, let's ask this question. Back when you were teaching, how long did it take you to make 20 grand
I mean, that's a really good point. And you have to be there every day in the
with
building.
middle schoolers? You
Woo!
know, God bless it. I loved our middle schoolers. But wow, you know,
Yeah, so that was the one year that I came in and I was sitting across from the same CPA and I'm like, oh, this one we did and we only made 20. He's like, Laura, you made 20 in 18 days.
that part. I mean, it's a it's a cheat code. Real estate's a cheat code. I say that like if you can that it is possible. But as you've said, and I want to make sure we're cautioning people listening too, is there is risk. You have to do it with wisdom. And I know that you got, based on our conversations, I know you guys are. That's why you're being careful about what you buy so that you can make 20K in 18 days. You're not taking the risk of like, well, I think it might maybe if I do this and that. And then you're taking almost the sure bet, and there's wisdom in that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, we probably could do 10 or 20 a year if we were a little more riskier, if we accepted lower margins, right? But typically we're flipping in 3 weeks and the return is around 50,000.
Yeah, that's incredible. And then you're able to take that and, slowly but surely you're going to start, adding maybe more to the rental income, and over time, you look back and 10 years later, you're like, man, look at what we did, and look at and there's peace in it,
I hope.
versus
Yeah.
the anxiety that comes along with, I have to do 100 deals, like the, oh my gosh, ask me how I know. Um, but yeah, well, I don't want to take too much of your time, Laura. You've been great. I always do like to ask kind of towards the end of our shows here. And you've given so much wisdom already, but if you could, something that you're like, this has stuck with me, something that you could maybe, people that are listening could hold on to. Do you have any like nuggets of advice you've got that you like to maybe share?
I would say do it, right? Step that you do not have to have the whole thing planned out. You don't have to know what your biggest goal is. Just take the next step. Surround yourself by people that know more than you do and lean in and even just like me, right? You don't have to make it this big scary leap. Just do the next thing
Yeah,
that can get you closer to your goal, and it'll evolve quicker than you ever thought.
incredible. Guys, you heard it. I love that advice. Laura, if people want to reach out to you, connect, I know you mentioned your social media presence, stuff like that. What's the best way for people to connect with you?
I'd love to connect over on Instagram at sides_investing.
Perfect. Guys, follow Laura. She's worth following. I promise you that you won't be disappointed. Laura, it's been a great, great pleasure getting to know you. And guys, until the next one, I hope to see you there. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Brett.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.